welcome to the Woollentwine Fibre Studio Knitting Podcast. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind Woollentwine Fibre Studio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany where I play with natural dyes and natural yarns. Today I want to do a little introduction to a new and very special yarn that I've created and that will be available as part of our January collection. I tried to keep this little intro rather short, just so you don't have to watch like too many videos for this January collection. But yeah, this is a new yarn that I've created, and for those of you who might be new here, I sometimes, I do have a couple of standard bases, but I often team up with local shepherds and mills to create my own exclusive yarns that are all custom spun for woollentwine. Am I getting a little bright here, or is it okay? I hope it's okay. And this one is one of these. So this one has been custom spun for us, and I've created this yarn together with one of my mills, and I'm particularly excited about it because yeah, without further ado, maybe I should just show it to you because you might see why I'm so excited about it. This is the new yarn called Shetland Welsh Mountain 4-ply. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but I do like to keep it simple and just have the fibre content of yarns in the names. And this one is a black yarn, which I'm so excited about because if you know me and if you've been following for a while, it's a rare occasion that I'm wearing something like lighter colored, because I normally pretty much always wear black. Black is one of my favorite colors, and I have been wanting to make a black yarn for quite a while. But making a black yarn is not necessarily very easy because most sheep's fleeces, even if they appear black, if you can see a black sheep somewhere, it's actually a brown. And there are very few sheep breeds that are actually almost black. And there are a couple of breeds, such as Scotland, for example, that are or like Pommernschaft, it's a local German breed, that are naturally silvery grey. But finding something that's actually black is pretty tricky. There are Swartblairs, there are Hebridean sheep and all that, but those are also quite coarse, and I've also wanted to have for this yarn to be like rustic, but not too rustic, and have a nice soft handle still. And so in addition to meeting my, let's say, ethical requirements that I have for a yarn, like local sourcing and animal welfare and fair wages for people who are involved in the making process. With all these factors combined, making a black yarn was pretty tricky. And I'm so glad that I've teamed up with my mill and was able to share my knowledge or to combine my knowledge with their expertise and create this beautiful yarn, because you can still see that it's a warm undertone black. It's not like a true pitch black. It has a brownish undertone for sure, that I personally love because it gives it kind of a natural kind of shade. It doesn't look dyed, because I should also mention that of course I could have probably dyed a black yarn, but black is one of those colors that's very tricky to achieve with natural dyes, because you have to either use additives or over dye so many times that, or both even, that the fiber would be very damaged or very, let's say, stressed. And so I kind of thought there must be an alternative to this, and that's why I tried to source black fleeces for a black yarn. So Shetland Welsh Mountain is a blend of 50% black Shetland sheep and 50% black Welsh Mountain fleeces, and it's spun to 350 meters per 100 grams. So it's a fingering weight yarn, but I feel like it has enough loft that you could also knit it on a slightly larger gauge. And yeah, it is worsted spun, but I feel like it's, from the touch, it's a bit more like a semi-worsted. It feels a bit more woolly than a traditional worsted spun yarn does. And regarding softness, I would say it's pretty soft for a black yarn because, yeah, as mentioned, most of the fleeces that are black are also kind of coarse, and the black Welsh Mountain fleeces are also quite like on the heavier side, and not necessarily the softest, which is also why I tried to source a really dark Shetland to counteract and make it more soft. So I've experimented a bit with this yarn, and I also made a couple of, or not only me, but also thankfully my mom who helped me. We made a couple of samples, and even my sister, so wow, in this pile of knits we've all been involved. But so I can give you a bit more of an idea of how this yarn behaves. And without further ado, let me show you a couple of things that we've made in this yarn. First of all, I can tell you a sweet little story, because my sister somehow just never got really got the knitting fever so much as my mom and I do. And recently she did really get bitten by the knitting bug and started to knit a lot more. And so we decided to gift our dad a pair of socks for Christmas, where each of us, like both his kids, would knit a sock for him. And I think it's kind of sweet, and like it holds a lot of treasure, because yeah, this is a pair where both of us have poured our time and love into it, and I think it was really sweet. And so this is the pair of socks. It's very long because he is like, his office is quite cold sometimes, and we thought he could need a long cuff. Let me show you closer. And then we just went for some vanilla socks with heel flap and gusset. And I can already tell these are so incredibly warm. When he put it on Christmas, it was so sweet, because he was like, wow, this is so, my feet are immediately super warm. And yeah, they really are very, very warm. And although he hasn't worn them enough so I can really tell whether, like, how it holds up, but I, like, from my experience with sock fabrics and such, I feel these are very sturdy. Like, the fabric is also quite dense, because despite it being a 350 meter per 100 gram yarn, we knitted those on 2.25 millimeter needles. By the way, these are two, just so you can see. And so the fabric is quite dense, but still has a nice bit of elasticity to it. So yeah, I can imagine these holding up quite well as socks, and yeah, they are really lovely. And I'm sure he's going to love those and wear those a lot. Now that I don't have to show them to you on a video anymore, I can give them back to him and be like, now you can wear them. He had to wait a bit. But another thing that my mom actually made, this was a little bit of a spontaneous cast on, but I'm so happy with them, and I cannot wait to use them all of the time. Let me put them on. Some of you might have seen them on Instagram already, but these are the Eine mitts by Melody of Be Mind Beans, and I think they're so sweet with those little bubble and embroidery details at the bottom. And My mom made them for me, and she did change a little bit about the pattern. I asked her to keep track of the modifications she made just so I can share them with you. But it's not a lot. It's just that she has added a few decrease rows. Can you focus? Added a few decrease rows at the top because my hands were a tiny bit too small for the size, and she adjusted the fit very well with this. And here you can see, maybe it's easier to see here, you can see the little bobble and embroidery detail at the bottom. I think these are so sweet. We had a little bit of leftover Shetland Romney 4-ply, and this suited the mittens so well, and I'm really happy about it. So yeah, which also brings me to the fact that this new yarn has the same meterage as our Shetland Romney 4-ply base, and so you can actually use them together in a color work even. And I know we won't be restocking this one in the January collection, but I hope to bring it back at some point. So yeah, these are the Aina mitts, and I'm just really happy with them. It has become quite cold again here, and I'm really looking forward to wearing these on my way to the studio, just so they can keep me warm. I really like them. So far about my Aina mitts. Let me tell you or show you one more sample and then repeat all the details on this yarn again. So for the last sample I'm showing you, I wanted to cast on something that is with a mohair, because I know not everyone likes to knit big sweaters and large projects with a fingering weight yarn, and so I wanted to present a little alternative. So let me first show you the color options I had, because I wasn't sure what I was wanting to go for, because although the yarn does look quite black at first sight, it does have this brownish warm undertone, and I wasn't sure if like a pure bluish tinted black would work with this one mohair wise. And so I ordered two shades, one of them being a true black, and this is the Liquorice colorway by Knitting for Olive. And I did like this when I swatched it, because it truly made this yarn a completely black yarn. But I also ordered a second shade, which I actually ended up preferring, and this is the Brown Bear shade. Come on camera, can you focus? Yes. This is the Brown Bear shade, and it's a very, very dark brown, and it brings out the warm undertone of this yarn so well. So let me show them side by side if I can somehow hold this up. But here you can see the difference. So this one is the Liquorice one, this is like the proper black, and this one is the Brown Bear. So for my sample, or for my test run that I gave this yarn, I used the new Shetland Welsh Mountain 4-ply with a mohair, and I was wanting to make something very versatile and easy to wear, but also with a little bit of texture, because I know dark yarns make texture quite tricky, so I wanted to show how the yarn would look in a textural, the textured pattern, and I'm actually more than happy to have chosen this kind of texture because it's just really pretty. And it was funny because I was looking for this particular kind of pattern because I was used to it from my visiting cardigan that I've knitted quite a while ago. But I couldn't find a sweater pattern that was size inclusive and had this kind of pattern. And I reached out to my Instagram community and got a few recommendations, and at the end actually I got recommended the hawthorn sweater, and this is just so beautiful. It has this kind of ribbed texture that is achieved by working like a one by one rib for one row and then stockinette for one row and around, if you will. And I love how this looks in this yarn combination. I've used the new Shetland Welsh Mountain 4-ply together with the Brown Bear Mohair by Knitting for Olive, and I think it's just beautiful. So a big thank you goes out to Heather of Wollentwine. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, but they recommended the pattern to me and I'm super happy. It's a simple raglan construction, and I really love the folded neckband that's actually achieved by casting on, then knitting the collar, and then picking up stitches from the cast on edge and knitting them together with the live stitches on the needle. So it's actually, oops, sorry, my phone is going off. I should have shut it off, but yeah, this is just a very clever way of making a very neat neckline, I feel, and it worked very well in the fabric. It made a very squishy, nice neckline. And yeah, I'm close to finishing the increases and actually separating for sleeves and body. And I think I might continue increasing for a little bit longer than the pattern calls for in my size, because I do like slightly wider sleeves and a bit more volume in my sleeves. And so I normally, whenever I knit a raglan construction, I try to, yeah, just go for a bit more of a deeper raglan line because I like the fit more. But yeah, this is the Hawthorn sweater by, did I even say the designer's name? It's Darling J'adore, I think. And it's really beautiful. I will also link all their info below. And I'm using the sweetest little stitch markers that I have to show you, because these are just so cute. They are the pumpkin stitch markers by Maria of Woolentwine, and I'm totally in love. This is also giving me proper Halloween vibes with the black yarn and the pumpkin stitch markers. Yeah, but I'm just really in love with this yarn, and I'm just so happy that I was finally able to do the black yarn. I know it's kind of a little bit of a selfish decision, but I hope some of you will love it as well, because yeah, I know some of you do like the darker shades we make and the darker yarns we create, so maybe some of you are wanting to join the dark side. But yeah, this is my Hawthorn sweater and I cannot recommend it enough. The pattern, I will say, is a little confusing. Not confusing, maybe it's just myself being such a minimalist and liking things when they are a little bit more minimalist. There are just a lot of words in the pattern, and I think it's very beginner friendly that way, because the designer really describes all the steps very closely. For me, it's just, I always forget where I was, and I actually printed the pattern just to cross off the parts that I've already worked, because my brain is too messy for so many words in a pattern. I'm just like, there's so much on one page, so. But it's very clearly written, and I think it's very, for someone who might be starting out knitting sweaters also, I think it's something very beginner friendly. So yeah, this is what I've made, or what we've made in this yarn so far. And regarding suitable patterns, I have made a whole list, or I've curated a whole list of patterns in the video about the Shetland Romney 4-ply base that I've recorded, I think, last year. But I'll link that one somewhere, either here or below or wherever, just so you can look at that one, because I do share a lot of suitable pattern recommendations for that yarn, and since it has the same meterage and the same kind of squishy and lofty feel, I think most of the patterns would be suitable for this yarn as well. So check that out if you'd like some inspiration on what to make with it. And yeah, if you have some Shetland Romney in your stash, maybe you could even just combine it. And I think it would make a very cool accent, like a black accent maybe with the color work also. I also feel it could be very suitable for color work because it's quite grippy and it does have a bit of volume, so could be something very interesting to try maybe. But yeah, I think this is everything I have to share about this new yarn. I hope you will love it as much as I do, and I should maybe share, it's gonna be available with the January collection on January 27th at 8 p.m. CET. And we will only have a limited amount available because, as with all of my custom spins, this is not like a base that I buy from a supplier or something. This is something that gets custom spun for us, and even though I could request the same yarn with the same fiber blend or whatever, it's never going to be the completely same way because sometimes the fleeces come from a different place or whatever. And also with custom spun yarns, I have to get a slot at a mill to get the yarn spun, so it can take quite a while to get this yarn back. And so I do have not the biggest amount of this yarn in stock. So if you're curious about it, January 27th is the day to check in. And yeah, I hope you will love it as much as I do, and I hope you're having a lovely weekend. This video is probably going to go up either on Saturday or Sunday, so I hope you're currently sitting down knitting and listening to my rambly self. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching and sticking around my woolly rambles. And as always, feel free to email me if there is a question about this new yarn. Maybe a question that I haven't covered already, so in case there's something I missed in this video, you can definitely ask away. And yeah, but maybe double check if there's something you were wondering about, if I've maybe covered it in this video, because I always try to give as much information with these videos as I can. And so I hope I gave you a good overview of how this yarn is and what it can be used for. Thank you so much for watching again, and see you in the next video or for the next shop update. Bye!